Hello and congratulations on your accepted offer. Now there's a whole lot that has to happen between now and the end of closing, but we're just going to take it step by step to make sure that none of it becomes too overwhelming. But first, I want you to meet a couple key players on the team that you'll be working really closely with from now until closing. First off, meet Valerie Murphy.
Hi.
Say hello, Valerie. Valerie, in addition to working with many of our buyers, is also our transaction manager. She basically will be helping to coordinate and facilitate all the paperwork and disclosures and the different things like that we'll need to do from now until closing to make sure that you have a complete and compliant file. So you'll definitely be hearing from Valerie. Say hello when you get a chance. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you.
Next, we also have Lindsey Fetch. Say hello, Lindsey.
Hello.
So Lindsey is our operations manager and our escrow coordinator. You'll also be working pretty closely with her as well throughout the escrow process and setting up inspections, site visits, and also she'll be facilitating a lot of the communication and the progress of the transaction from now until the end. So look out for Lindsey's emails. Thank you so much, Lindsey.
Thank you.
Now don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'll definitely be here to help you every step of the way, but we have a really solid team just because there's so much that happens in the back end during the transaction closings that we need really good people to help me and help you have the best experience possible. So now let's talk about what's going to happen over the next 17 days. First and foremost, please keep an eye out for an email from Valerie Murphy titled Next Steps. In that email, you'll find a couple of really key dates like the contingency removal dates and the close of escrow, but you'll also find contact information for everybody working on this file, but more specifically the escrow company and the escrow officer. Please contact the escrow officer as quickly as possible to coordinate getting your earnest money deposit into that escrow account. You only have 3 business days from the time that our offer is accepted to when you have to have that deposit in the escrow account. Next, I want to talk to you about the contingency or due diligence period. This is why we're talking about the next 17 days because that's what we're going to be focused on the next 17 days is getting through the due diligence period. The contract allows us 3 contingencies basically. First off, the investigative or the inspection contingency that allows us to inspect the property, review all the documentation, the disclosures, etc., everything about the property, to make sure that we understand it and we know what we're buying. If something comes up that we don't agree with or you don't like, you have the opportunity to cancel the transaction and retain your deposit if it's within that 17-day period of time. Next, we have the appraisal contingency that basically states that the property has to appraise at or above the contract price. If it does not appraise at that level, you do have the opportunity to back out and retain your deposit, or there are some other solutions that we can do to be able to push this thing forward. Lastly is the loan contingency, which basically allows us, it's typically 21 days for this contingency, but allows us 21 days to basically get the appraisal, all of your documentation to the lender, up into the underwriter and have them review the file and give us a commitment that they are going to give you that loan. And if for whatever reason we don't get that commitment from them or they decline the loan, you also have the opportunity to cancel and retain your deposit, okay? So let's talk about 2 different things that are going to be happening at the same time during this transaction process, okay? First off, you have your lender working on the loan side, and then you have the real estate, which is me, working on that side. It's more focused on the house. Now, please work really closely with your lender to get the appraisal order as quickly as possible. They probably have some disclosures that they need you to review and sign, as well as get them some additional documentation. So please do that very quickly so you can order the appraisal. The appraisal typically takes sometimes 2 weeks, if not longer, to get back. And with only a 17 or 21 day period to do our due diligence, we really need to act quickly on that aspect. The other part of it is me and my team are going to be helping you to coordinate all the inspections, gather and provide to you all the disclosures and all the information about the home to review so we know exactly what it is that we're buying. We're here to help coordinate all those steps for you, so don't worry. We'll let you know exactly what to do at what point in time, but we will be contacting you very soon to set up the first step, which is the home inspection, okay? Now, let's talk about repairs, or if something comes up in those inspections that you just don't like or weren't really prepared for. Now, the contract allows us this opportunity to inspect the property, get a good understanding, but again, things come up all the time, okay? And sometimes they're larger things, sometimes it's a definite deal breaker. You never know really until you get into that process. However, if something comes up that we didn't really expect, like the heater was out or the plumbing problem, etc., we have the opportunity to bring out what's called a level 2 inspection, or bring out the right professional to look at that again and give us an idea of how big of a problem that really is or is not, and give us a quote to how much it would be to fix that. We have the opportunity then to go back to the seller and negotiate any repairs we feel are necessary, okay? They're not obligated to agree to that, but we have the opportunity to renegotiate that. And if we can't come to an agreeable solution, you do have the opportunity to back out and retain your deposit, okay? So what happens at the end of those 17 days or the contingency periods? We are going to be put in the position to have to remove those contingencies and put our deposit at risk, right? Remember that deposit that we put in the first 3 days? So just know that those contingency periods don't just end on that day. We have to physically remove those in writing, okay, and send those over to the seller. Now, until we do that, we have the opportunity to back out and retain our deposit. After we remove our contingencies in writing, if we do back out or cancel the transaction, most likely you will lose that deposit, okay? So the next thing is questions that we always get is, what happens if it runs a little longer, if we need more time? All this just seems like it's running really, really fast and it's kind of overwhelming. Just know that as long as we keep working towards the goal and keeping the time frames in mind and we work diligently on that, if something comes up that's legitimate, that we need more time to explore, inspect, etc., there are opportunities for us to get extensions on those particular items, but we have to work with the sellers and let them know what's going on. Most of the times they've been cooperative to allow us to do that. So don't worry if we run into those situations. Not every situation is black and white and perfect. We have solutions to get around them, okay? So that's it for this segment, okay? Please do let me know if you have any other questions that's more specific to your situation. But in the next 2 weeks, we'll be sending out another video segment that discusses what happens after we remove our contingencies up until the point where we close escrow. So stay tuned and we'll be in touch really soon.